Chumlee. He's the non-Harrison on Pawn Stars, and despite not being the brightest bulb of the bunch, he has gone and made quite an impact on the show with fans. As such, many people watch just for him, even when he makes decisions and deals that, well, honestly aren't the best. But there are times when he has shocked people with making some really good deals, so allow us to show you how Chumlee just hit the Pawn Stars' biggest jackpot. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.
Number 6. The Samurai Swords. One day, a customer brought in a set of samurai swords. Chumlee was on duty and he was truly amazed by them. Now, that's not to be criticized for the record. Swords are a key part of our world's history, and to have one from ancient Japan would be a true luxury. And even holding one from one of the golden ages of Japan, that is just a true experience. However, he was so enamored with them that he didn't consult with another person or expert about them. Because of that, he bought this set of swords for $4,000. It's not a good thing most times, because expert opinions are used to help not just gauge value, but to get the best deal to make maximum profit. When the Harrisons found out what Chumlee had done, they weren't happy. All of them thought that they were fake, and Rick Harrison was so mad that he brought in an expert to do damage control. Here's the rub: they weren't fake, and they were made by known makers according to the expert, and one of them was even dated to have been made in the 1400s. One of the swords had some fake branding, but the rest of it was real, and was still worth some good money. Thus, Chumlee made a great purchase. The expert stated that the swords were worth $13,000, so Chumlee got $9,000 profit for his buy. Rick still wasn't happy, but the profits speak louder than the mistake. Number 5. The Potato. We're going to cheat a little bit on this one because this is the story of how Chumlee bought a potato while working the counter on Pawn Stars. This all happened when a customer named Sean Price came into the gold and silver pawn shop with a goal to sell a special potato. Specifically, it was a potato that he claimed was actually thrown at and hit Martin Luther King Jr., who was one of the biggest voices of the civil rights movements, so this had indeed been a potato that had come into contact with him. It honestly would be worth something. The problem was that there was no documentation or proof that this was indeed a potato that did what he thought it did, and Chumlee honestly knew that. What's more, Sean Price was asking $100,000 for it. Thankfully, he didn't even come close to that offer. Instead, Chumlee bought the potato for $2.25, and Price seemed fine with that. So yeah, Chumlee bought a potato on Pawn Stars, and we're calling this a jackpot because if he had gone anywhere near what Price wanted for that potato, Chumlee likely wouldn't be alive right now. No, really, Rick would have killed him. We have no doubt about that. Number 4. The White Sword of Rick. Rick and Chumlee have a very complicated relationship. Mainly, Rick allowed Chumlee to work at the shop because of Corey, his son. And then when Pawn Stars blew up and Chumlee got famous, he suddenly couldn't get rid of him because History Channel saw his value. Rick doesn't like Chumlee that much because Chumlee doesn't listen all that often, which this story will show, but not with the results that you're thinking of. You see, Rick had bought a 17th century katana, but this particular one was not for sale in the shop. Rather, Rick personally sent this sword to Japan for the sole purpose of getting it fully restored and being an item in the shop for people just to look at, but not buy. In short, it's eye candy to help boost the value and prestige of the items in the shop. Anyway, the status of the sword was made very clear to both Chumlee and Corey. He noted that the sword itself was around $35,000 in terms of worth, and was not to be sold under any circumstances. Later on, a man by the name of Dana White entered the gold and silver pawn shop. Now, if you somehow don't recognize that name, he's the face of the UFC, one of the most popular combat sports on the planet. Dana White came into the store because he was looking for a classic sword to buy, and Chumlee did not hesitate 1 second to offer up Rick's sword. That is a party foul, to be clear. In terms of the deal itself for the restored white sword, he only got $30,000, which is a loss of $5,000. But he got Dana White to purchase another $30,000 worth of other swords, thus increasing the profits made. So overall, he did well and got the store some serious money. Later on, when Rick asked Dana to come back to talk about the sword that he wasn't supposed to buy, Rick got him to buy another sword for $9,000. Rick was still not happy that he lost his prized sword, but again, the profits speak louder than the mistake at times. Number 3, Victorian-era saw-handle pistols. Sometimes the Pawn Stars get firearms that have a very cool look or even history to them, which was the case when a man came in with a pair of nickel-plated pistols that were from the Victorian era of history. These guns were ones with percussion caps, which means that they are rather advanced pistols for their time, as it made them more reliable to fire than previous firearms of that period. The owner wanted over $8,000 for them, which could be fair, but Chumlee wasn't buying it. He could tell they were in pretty rough shape, including having rust, damages to certain parts, and more. The owner tried to play it off, but Chumlee called in an expert for help in regards to evaluation and pricing. According to the expert, they were indeed rare and made by a very well-known gun maker from the Victorian era. But, like Chumlee suspected, their value was less than $8,000, so he got them for $3,300. But that's not the whole story. There is a twist. In 2016, an auction had some items from the Pawn Stars, including the pistols, and they sold for $42,000. This was a time that even Rick Harrison couldn't say that Chumlee screwed up in any way. Getting almost $40,000 for the shop? That is a big get. Number 2, Tupac's BMW. Cars come to the Pawn Stars somewhat frequently, but Chumlee isn't the guy to trust when it comes to car recommendations. But that wasn't the case when he was able to find a car owned by the legendary and infamous rapper known as Tupac. Tupac Shakur is a true legend in the rap world. His music is still respected to this day, and the mystery around his death is still talked about. The car found by Chumlee was the literal car that Tupac was in when the drive-by happened, that would eventually claim his life. The new owners had restored the vehicle a bit, but there was plenty of proof that this was the real deal car that he was in during the event. Rick got his local appraiser to come in to give value to the car. He noted that it could be worth almost $1 million, which means Chumlee was right to bring Rick in to see it. Sadly, a deal could not be done, but Rick admitted on camera that Chumlee impressed him with this find and that he honestly learned something from Chumlee. That right there is just a jackpot moment. Number 1, the Stan Lee experience. Chumlee has had 2 major experiences with comic books on Pawn Stars. One was a bust. The other, well, it was very memorable. A customer came in with a large comic book panel, which was given out for promotional reasons back when it was made. The real selling point was that it was signed by 2 comic legends. Artist John Romita, who had a long career in comics and has a son that is doing them now, and the one and only Stan Lee. Yep, that very same Stan Lee. Usually seeing a Stan Lee signature would be enough for anyone to make a deal, even if it's fake. But Chumlee decided to go to the source, as it were. He knew that Stan Lee was in town and actually took the customer to meet him. After getting to see Stan, they showed him the panels, and Stan Lee went full nostalgia. He recalled to him and John signing the panels, which is the best proof ever that it was authentic. Plus, Stan must have felt really happy to see those old school panels again. Chumlee got this item for $5,000, which is a steal given the prominence of Lee and Romita in the comics world. This was a time when Chumlee's use of knowledge and the Pawn Stars method of verification really helped him out. And again, he got to meet Stan Lee. Jackpot! So what did you think? What did you think of these times when Chumlee actually did really good in the pawn shop and made some good deals and decisions? Which of these instances do you remember watching and being happy for Chumlee when it all went well? Do you know any other times that Chumlee really hit the jackpot for the Pawn Stars? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.
Just a reminder about our new giveaway. We're giving away the new iPad Pro or the new iMac Pro. The choice is yours. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.